I thought the weekend was mine alone, a quiet escape stitched together from pine-scented air and the promise of solitude. And as I stood on the narrow deck of the mountain lodge with the forest breathing round me, the night felt charged in a way I hadn't planned for, like the hush before a storm. Because just beyond the railing, a campfire glowed and 5 men gathered there looked as if they belonged to the wild itself. Their laughter low and easy, their silhouettes cut from shadow and flame. And even though I had come to leave old weight behind, something inside me shifted the instant I realized I was being seen, truly noticed, not as a passerby, but as a presence. So I lingered where the firelight could reach me, stretching as if to loosen the travel from my limbs, letting the cool breeze brush my skin, feeling the subtle attention turn my way, and when one of them tall, broad-shouldered, with a calm watchfulness that felt steady rather than sharp-paused mid-sentence and met my eyes, the moment settled into a quiet dare, unspoken but clear, and I answered it with a small smile and a glance over my shoulder as I stepped back inside. The door closing softly behind me, the room warming with the echo of the fire outside, and the faint CR reminds me that I was far from the life I'd left. Because soon enough there were footsteps on the wooden floor and the sense of someone entering my space not with rush but with certainty. And when he spoke, it wasn't a challenge so much as a question wrapped in curiosity, a low voice that fit the night, and I replied lightly, pouring a glass of wine, letting the ordinary gesture ground me even as the air between us thickened with what was in. Tea being said, and we stood there for a moment, simply aware of each other, of the boundaries, and the choice to cross them or not, until I turned and our eyes met fully, and something honest passed between us, an understanding that this was about feeling alive rather than breaking rules, about the warmth of connection in a place that encouraged it, and as we moved closer, the world outside seemed to dim. The fire becoming a distant pulse, the forest a quiet witness, and the conversation shifted from words to pauses, from explanations to shared breaths. And when we reached the edge of the bed, it wasn't tea urgency that guided us, but intention. A shared willingness to slow time, to let anticipation stretch and coil, and even as he settled back, watching me with a half smile that held both humor and respect, I felt unexpectedly in control of my own choices of the pace of how far the night would go. So I let the moment unfold in careful increments, savoring the way attention itself could feel electric, how reactions could speak louder than action, how closeness could exist without haste. And just when the intensity crested into something that felt almost too focused, I eased back with a laugh that softened the edge, reminding us both that mystery was part of the pleasure, that the mountain night had room for more than one rhythm. And it was then, as if on cue, that voices sounded from the doorway and the circle widened, the others arriving not with disruption but with a shared energy that folded naturally into the room. Their presence warm and grounded, curiosity bright, but unforced, and I found myself at the center of a moment that was less about excess and more about connection, about the way people can share a spark without words when the setting strips life down to essentials. And as we stood together, no rush, no pressure, only an awareness of possibilities, the night stretched and deepened, the fire outside crackling like punctuation to the quiet laughter and murmured comments. And what mattered most wasn't what happened next, so much as the feeling that lingered, the sense of being seen and choosing to be there. The mountain air holding the memory of it all as the hours passed and the energy slowly settled into a calm, satisfied quiet, leaving me later alone again with the forest and the echo of warmth, reflecting on how sometimes you go looking for rest and instead find renewal, and how moments like that don't announce themselves but arrive softly, asking only that you decide how fully you want to step into them. And if you were standing there with the firelight at your back and the night wide open ahead of you, would you lean into the unknown or watch it glow from a distance, letting the story end not with an answer but with the invitation to choose?